Hi, and welcome back for day 5 of our series on the Sermon on the Mount. And this series is gonna extend way on into next week and beyond. This is a lot of information to get through, and we've had 4 really good days. But if you recall, yesterday we talked about how murder, that hatred that leads to murder begins in the heart. And Jesus warned against that, and we talked about how the envy and the jealousy that eventually led to the murder of Jesus didn't start on the day Jesus died. That murderous spirit was in play way before that, and therefore the murder actually, in a spiritual sense, occurred way earlier, and then it was just acted upon. Well, the same is true with adultery. Jesus taught these two things in conjunction. So in Matthew 5:27, this is what Jesus says about adultery. He says, "You have heard that it was said to those of old, 'You shall not commit adultery.' But I say to you that whoever looks at a woman to lust for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, pluck it out and cast it from you. For it is more profitable for you that one of your members perish than for your whole body to be cast into hell. If your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off, cast it from you. For it's more profitable for you that if one of your members perish, for one of your members to perish, than for your whole body to be cast into hell." Jesus here is making a very clear point. Stop it. That's his point. Stop it. So he's saying that if you look on a woman with lust in your heart, you've already committed adultery. So married men, when you see a pretty woman walking down the street and you catch a glimpse, you can't help but notice that she's beautiful, right? But as you're riding by, do you stare 2 or 3 times? Do you look at certain body parts? Do you begin the process of thinking about her in an intimate way and imagining her in a certain way? Even if you're not married, it's sexual immorality to be thinking that way. It's impure thoughts, right? So Jesus says, if you've done it in your heart, it's the same, like you've done it. Now, does that mean just because I thought that the neighbor was cute that I go over there and sleep with her because I've already done it spiritually? No, that'd be to sin twice. Okay. And that one has some real world consequences to it, because now you're probably going to end up divorced. Now you're probably going to lose half your stuff. You're going to have joint custody of your kids. There's going to be a lot of fallout that comes from that. So no, I hear people say that all the time. If I've already done it in my heart and God already sees it as adultery, why don't I just act on it? Because that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Do I just keep sinning more because I've already sinned once? No, you stop it. And what Jesus is saying here is cut it out. He says, if you can't help what you're looking at, pluck your eyeballs out. So now let me ask you a question. If I sin with my eyes, does Jesus really commanding me here to rip my eyeballs out of the sockets? I don't think so. I think what he's speaking here is in hyperbole. He's saying cut the part of life out that is causing you the problem. So young people, if being on your cell phone leads you to look up things you shouldn't look up, cut it out. Turn your cell phone off. Tell your parents you don't want it anymore. Turn it off. You don't have to have it. If being around certain friends leads you to temptation, stop being around them. See how simple that is? Sometimes in life, when you make a choice to follow Jesus, you have to make a choice also not to follow other people. And so here I'm telling you that adultery, just like murder, starts in the heart. Those decisions to think about, to ponder on sexual relations with people who are not your spouse begin here and here. And then the sin's already being committed. And then the act of doing it is merely almost a formality because you've already committed the sin. So I'm telling you right now, don't go down that road. I don't know of anybody who's ever not thought impure thoughts about the opposite sex. I don't know anybody who's been married and never been tempted to look at somebody else. But I will tell you this, you can control it, and you can say, Lord, I give you control of my thoughts and of my heart. And Father, I pray that you give me control over this area of my life. That's it for this week's videos. I hope you've enjoyed them. Come back next week. We're going to continue this series on the Sermon on the Mount. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell, and we'll see you next week. God bless.
Subscribe for more.